Hello and welcome to a review of the preterite in Spanish. This is going to cover so much and I'm going to try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. So I'm going to encourage you to pause anytime you need to take notes. Okay, here we go. We are going to start with AR regular verbs. This would be any normal AR verb like amar, caminar, cantar, escuchar, hablar, mirar, sentarse, and tomar. The endings for regular ARs are haste o, amos, hastes, and aron. Make a mental note, you've got an accent on the yo form and the el, ella, usted form. You'll probably want to mark those in your notes. So let's say it was amar. It would be yo amé, tú amaste, él or ella amó, nosotros amamos, vosotros amasteis, and ellos or ellas amaron. If you want to do some practice, you can pause. I'm going to show you the answers. If you want to look them over, go ahead and pause. Next, we have ER-IR regular verbs. Those would be verbs like aprender, beber, comer, conocer, dividir, encender, abrir, and mover. That is not a complete list, just an example of the many ER and IR regular verbs. Here are the endings. They are I con acento, iste, io. Make sure that accent is on the O, not the I, okay? Imos, istes, and ieron. Quick note, the verb conocer is in this group. Conocer normally means to know someone, but if you're using it in the preterite, it means you met them. Here are your practice ones. You can pause. And there are the answers. You can pause. Next, we have one group of AR stem changers, which are the car, gar, zars. That includes every single verb that ends in car, gar, or sar. So that would be suplicar, tocar, jugar, pagar, apagar, comenzar, casar, danzar, and any other verb you can think of that ends in those letter combinations. These have an irregularity only in the yo form. All the verbs that end in car will have to end with a QUE. Gar will end in a GUE, and SAR only will be a CE, but again, only in the yo form, because it only happens when we put that E ending in the yo form next to a C, a G, or a Z. As long as it ends in, it has an O or an A, we're fine. It's only the letter E that causes that problem. The endings are regular AR endings, so A, aste, O, amos, astes, aron, normal accents on the yo and il, ella, usted forms. Here's your practice. You can pause. And here are the answers. You can pause. Next, these are technically all IR stem changers. I like to call them sandal verbs. If you are familiar with the idea of boot verbs in the present tense where it goes up the leg a little bit, these would be sandal verbs because they're just across the bottom. They include morir and dormir are both ODU stem changers. And then medir, mentir, pedir, servir, preferir, sentirse, vestirse. Sentir is also on that list. Repetir. Those all have an E to I change in those bottom two forms. Since they are stem changers, the endings are normal. So E with an accent, iste, io with an accent on the O, imos, istes, and ieron. A couple notes on this group. It's only the third person forms that are affected, only those bottom two forms. Remember that morir and dormir, that's changed from O to U. Sometimes my students like to picture it as you're looking at someone's face, and as long as they are awake and alive, their eyes look like the letter O. But if you fall asleep, or God forbid, if you pass away, they will look like the letter U. All right, if you want to put down any more of the E to I verbs, they are on this slide. And here is your practice. You can pause. And the answers. Go ahead and pause. The next group I like to call los locos because they're just really short and really weird. We're going to start with the two verbs that I think are weirdest, and they are identical. They are ir and ser. So they both are fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuistes, fueron. No accents. And some people think, oh, isn't that confusing? If yo fui can mean I was or I went. It actually isn't that confusing. Ser is a being verb and ir is a doing verb, and so they just really don't end up in sentences in the same place as each other. And then we've got dar and ver. Dar is di diste dio, dimos distes dieron. Ver is vi viste vio, vimos vistes vieron. No accents on any of them. Quick note about this group, they do not have accents. They actually used to on the yo and the il, ella, usted forms, but they were taken away because they didn't change the way that the word was pronounced. Here is your practice if you want to pause. And here is the answer key if you want to pause. Next, we've got the U group. Some of us call this the pus pud tuv group. And the verbs here are poner, the root is pus, poder, the root is pud, tener, the root is tuv, estar, the root is estuv, saber, the root is sup, andar, the root is anduv. And then anything that's rooted in one of those, like so suponer, to suppose, since poner is the root, it would be supus, or mantener, it would be mantuv, or detener, detuv, something like that. Okay, you guys, I'm not a good singer, but if you want to know a little rhyme for this one, a lot of students go pus pud tuv, a stuv soup, anduv, e iste o, imos istes ieron, no acentos. You are so welcome for that. Okay, let's move on. All right, so the endings here are e iste o, imos istes ieron, no accents on any of them. You just need to memorize these endings, and they are worth memorizing because you'll use these same endings for the U group and for the I group as well. And most of the J group has those same endings as well. Quick notes on this group, there's no accents. The verb ubo is in this group. In the present tense, we say I, there is, there are. But if you're saying something, there was an event in the past, like, ooh, there was a fire, there was a tornado, something like that, ubo. Also, saber is in this group. Saber normally means to know, but if you say it in the preterite, you're talking about an event when you first knew something, which means to find out. So if you say yo supe, that doesn't mean I knew, it means I found out. Here's your practice, you can pause. Here are your answers, you can pause. Next is the I group. I group, quis, vin, and is. There's only 3 root verbs here. We've got querer, to want. Quise, quisiste, quiso, quisimos, quisistes, quisieron, no accents. Then hacer, hice, hiciste, hizo, mark the spelling change there. Hicimos, hicistes, hicieron. And then venir, vine, viniste, vino, vinimos, vinistes, and vinieron. No accents on anything in this group. If you want a really dumb way to remember it, I've had people say, well, quis, especially the yo form, quise, sounds like kissy kissy. And for hacer, that iso, there used to be a rap song that talked about the H did the izzo. And vino in the el ego form also is the word for wine. And so some people have said, ooh, it kind of sounds like the making of a date night. You've got kissy kissy and you've got rap music and wine. I don't know who listens to rap music when they're drinking wine, but whatever. If that works for you, that's a little memory trick. There are no acentos in that whole group. Feel free to pause and try the practice, and pause to check your answers. Next, we've got the J group. Verbs in the J group include bendecir, which is to bless, which turns into bendig. Conducir, which is to drive, conduh. Decir, which is to say, dich. Maldecir, to curse, maldich. Producir, to produce, produj. Traducir, to translate, traduj. And traer, to bring, trach. By far the 2 most popular ones are decir and traer. The endings here are almost exactly the same as the I group and the U group, except for the ellos form. The ellos form there, it's eron, not ieron. So e iste o, imos istes, eron. Notes on this group, no acentos, and make sure you've got that highlighted that ellos form is irregular. All right, here's your practice. You can pause. And here's the answer key. You can pause. All right. Finally, we've got the Y group. The Y group, I also like to call it the screaming I group because it's got 2 things going on. It's got the Y's on the bottom and the screaming I's on top. Verbs in this group would include caer, to fall down. It's normally reflexive, caerse. Creer, to believe. Leer, to read. Oír, to hear. Proveer, to provide. And then a bunch of verbs that end in UIR. So construir, destruir, excluir, things like that. Okay, for most of them, the accents look like this. On the top, you've got screaming I's. So you've got 4 forms with I with an accent. So iste, imos, and istes, accents on all 4. But then on the bottom, it's the Y's. So yo with an accent and yeron. But those ones that had the UIR, so destruir, construir, excluir, they don't have the same accents. So the Y part is the same, yo and yeron, but up on top, they only have the accent on the yo form. Uh, Quick notes about this group: muchos acentos, just accents everywhere. Caer means to fall, and caerse means to fall down. All right, here's your practice if you want to pause. And here are the answers. All right, good luck. That was a lot of review. I wish you all the best.